What is up, fellow nerds, and welcome to Not Your Status Quo. Today, we are talking about Agatha All Along, Episode 6, Familiar by Thy Side. But before we get into all of that fun, Dave, how's it going tonight, sir?
Oh, I gotta tell you, it's going all right. I took care of a few things today. When you accomplish something
Wait,
that
you
you've
took
been
care of
putting
a
off.
few things? Are you a
I
mob
did, yeah.
hitman now?
I did do something with the penguin. We were hanging out. He threw me in a shallow grave, and I figured out what to do. No, but I really felt like I accomplished something today. I really felt useful. So, and then I watched this show last night, and I thought about watching it again, and I was like, I don't think so, and I'll explain why. But since Doug is running a little bit late from his meeting with Warner Brothers, how are you doing, Keith?
Dave, I am tremendous, sir. We got our little big company meeting out of the way. It's behind us now. Things are getting back to normal. I'm not dressed up for 11 hours a day talking to people. I just get to sit in my basement and then talk to you guys at night. So, it's all good. It's all good.
Not bad, not bad.
You can't go wrong when things aren't crazy busy. But we are waiting for Doug. But hey, let's talk about this episode of Agatha. Because I know, sounds like you weren't the biggest fan of it.
No, no, I wasn't. And we just mentioned it because this earlier this week they had a flashback episode of the Penguin, and I thought, damn, they did it right. It was perfect timing. It's what we needed to see, and we all know how well we rated that show. But with this one, it seems like they gained momentum in the last 30 seconds of last week's show. And I was like, okay, there's Wiccan, and he's powerful, and he can kill those other witches, and Agatha's not gonna die.
Guys, it's
But
me.
Okay, bud. Thanks.
Hello. Bye, guys.
bye bye. And they got a little momentum, and then when they opened up this show, to me it kind of stopped the momentum. They just went straight back into a flashback, and I think it was at least half the episode was a flashback, which is fine normally, but I don't think it worked at this point in the season. Maybe if they had maybe a half an episode building on the momentum and then going back. I don't know. I'm not the professional here. I just know how it felt to me. I didn't think it was the right spot for one of those.
That's what we talk about. See, I thought it was a perfect timing for an episode, or for a flashback. It was perfect timing for an episode. It was.
Yeah, I have another.
Maybe two more. Perfect time for a flashback because we did find out that he was, Wiccan. He was basically Billy Maximoff. And I thought it was the perfect timing. We found out how this all happened. We found out, got filled in about the car wreck that Agatha was kind of talking about when she was stuck in her detective, sort of episode. And, I thought they did a good job. The problem is, it came out 3 days after one of the best episodes of television I've ever seen. That was also a flashback. I mean, this definitely, wasn't close to as good as, the Penguin episode, but it was still good. I still enjoyed it. It filled in some backstory. It gave us a few items. It gave us, Billy's overall mission now. We now know why he wanted to go down the road. It wasn't for power like he was telling Agatha, because I'm sure he told her that because she could understand that. If he said, I want to find my brother, she'd be like, I don't get it. That makes no sense. I ain't going with you. But she was thinking he was much more like her. And I think we're finding out he's not. He's still a witch, and he's still, is going to look out for himself, number one, but he's not like Agatha. Agatha's herself above everybody. And this kid is probably leaning more into the hero end of things. It was kind of
He's
nice.
definitely angry.
He definitely can show signs of a temper, yes. Which,
And apparently his powers come and go while on the, is it just while on the Witch's Road or overall? You know,
I
when
think he
she,
just.
go ahead.
I just think he hasn't learned to control him yet.
Just like she said,
Yeah,
like Wanda, like Agatha said.
dude, she was like taunting him when she got out of
Yeah.
that mud. I'm like, okay, does she know that he's not going to use her powers? Because at first I didn't know he couldn't use them. I was like, does she know he's not going to use his powers on her again? But I'm like, I bet she knows he can't use his powers. She is aware that he needs, because we saw in the flashback, a very high emotional state to have the powers kind of kick in until he learns to control them. So I'm like, okay, she's trying to goad him into using his powers. Probably to blast him.
And then she can suck him. Like she can take him from him.
Maybe wordsmith that a little bit.
Yeah. And you know what? They killed the other two witches last episode, and I didn't think that would be official. I mean, since they didn't come back in this episode, I think they're gone. They might not be, but I just figured they would be. Agatha would be, if she was the only one that came out. That's probably about right, because they only got what, 2 episodes left, right?
3.
2.
They have
3.
7 next week, and then 8, 9 2 weeks from now.
Okay, that's right. And you know, I think those witches were going to be gone anyway. I think what we need is more Aubrey Plaza. Where is Rio? Where's she at?
Well, we still haven't seen her come out of the last trial, and whether it's because Alice's body is there, and if she is Lady Death, she has to do something to it or whatnot. But yeah, we haven't seen her come out of that last trial. Now, it does seem like some time has elapsed because Agatha was able to get out of the goo, and we may see, the other 2 witches get out of the sort of quicksandy goo stuff too at some point. Maybe just a little behind Agatha, so they may catch up to them at some point and maybe still play a part in this season. But like you, I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see him again. I do think it's going to come down to just Billy and Agatha finishing the Witch's Road when, episode 9 or episode 8, whenever they do it.
Yeah, and where Aubrey Plaza ends up. I mean, and she's not gonna die. I think we all agree she's not gonna die. She's already dead. She's Lady Death.
Yeah, she'll be in other things.
Yeah, this will be. I mean, so they don't really need the other 2 witches anymore. Just they got those 3, and then of course they got to drop Mephisto in there somewhere. They have to.
They better, but they didn't. The divination witch, Layla or Lilia or whatever.
Lilia. Yeah.
Lilia. She hasn't had a trial kind of toned to her, so they may still need her. And I was pretty sure. Were you surprised that she was the one that cast the sigil on Billy?
I was. Yeah, I really thought it was Agatha. And obviously, they say when you make the sigil, you forget yourself. So, that's why she had no clue. But it's cool that it was one of them, and not Agatha. I guess I could say.
And it was one of the witches who probably saw what was going to happen and was trying to protect them from what was coming up. At first, I was laughing because when she came out with the coat, and she's like, "Oh, one of the kids left his coat," and the lady's like, "Who?" She's like, "I don't remember." And I'm like, "Oh, she already cast it, so she doesn't remember him." It took me like a minute because at first I'm like, "Is she joking?" Oh, I got it. Me am smart.
I am so smart.
But it was nice. I think the show, while not doing as good a job as the Penguin, they are kind of tying things up. We heard about that car crash in the first episode and how she thought it was somehow involved in all of this. And, it was. It's nice coming back. We got he's driving home with his parents because everyone's like, oh my God, there's something going on with the hex, or they call it a hex. We got to get out of here. Everybody go home. It's an emergency. And as they're driving, she ends up getting an accident, and William Kaplan dies, and Billy Maximoff kind of takes over his body. As Agatha put it, as a good witch should, or you did the right thing. And I think he feels pretty guilty about what happened because, I mean, I don't think he understands yet. William Kaplan was dead. I mean, it was honestly probably jump in that body or be lost, throughout the cosmos.
He didn't kill him. He doesn't have to feel guilty about it.
Right. And I think
it was just an available husk.
Exactly. Well said. But I think he's going to, because I think any good character has the sort of things, and I think that's going to be, something that he has to deal with and get over eventually, is the fact that he kind of took over this body. And once he realizes what you said, he didn't kill him. The kid was already dead. He's just, kind of taking the husk. I think he'll deal with it a little better. But they're setting things up so they have problems to deal with and things to get over. They're not, these paper thin characters that are just, hey, I'm a magician. Let me do some spells. So I think it's been good. Once again, not great, but good.
And my brother, he's really fast, so I gotta find him.
And that was, hearing that, he went in the road to find his brother makes a lot of sense, not only in the storytelling aspect of it, but also we've heard rumors that there's going to be another spin-off series focusing on Billy trying to find Tommy. So, hearing that a few months ago, all of these scoopers coming out with it, either they guessed, that, figured out Tommy's not going to be in this, so they just made an educated guess that it may be. But that may be what we see next. Maybe it'll be a Wiccan series or, something else, an Alice Wu series if she ends up living. So, we'll figure it out from there. But I kind of like
the Wendy one.
No, Alice is her daughter.
Oh, okay.
I know you wanted to sing the rock version of Down the Witch's Road. So
no, I didn't. I really didn't. Unlike you, I've had enough of that song. But, what was I gonna say? Yeah, I wouldn't be on board for a Wiccan series. I know that's probably they would need it to advance the Young Avengers, which they're trying to set up. So I understand why they would do it, but I wouldn't be excited one bit about it. It would seem like it would have to be a limited series, like not even 8 episodes. I don't know how much they could do with that.
Well, it all depends on the story they have. I mean, if it's a 4 hours long they need, then they should make it 4 hours. If they need 13 hours, then maybe tighten up the writing and do it in 8.
You're right. Exactly.
But
absolutely.
Yes. And that's the thing. I'm glad they're sort of taking their time to kind of put the Young Avengers together. We got Miss Marvel in her series. We got Kate Bishop in the Hawkeye series. And now we're getting, Wiccan, where it sounds like we're getting Speed here coming up. So they're not like rushing to just all of a sudden go, hey, here's a bunch of kids with powers. They're kind of doing it the same way they did the Avengers in Phase 1, introducing them in their own, projects, and then they can have the team form and, people will know who they are a little bit more. It's the right way of hand. They're not rushing it, and I appreciate that. Makes sense that, Billy and Tommy would probably be in the WandaVision spin-off to kind of come through and not just appear in, Captain America Brave New World or something, just all of a sudden pop up and be there. So, while it's not, a 10 out of 10 show, I think it's still entertaining, and, I think they're doing a good job. It's been... Is it the best MCU show? Probably not. But it's definitely not the worst.
It's not the worst either, yeah. It's middle of the road to me. I heard that Haley Steinfeld, wow, Doug's still in that meeting. I've heard that Haley Steinfeld signed like a multi-picture deal. Do we know anything about that? Have we heard?
Nothing official, but that's the rumor going around that she signed a multi-picture deal, and a lot of people are guessing it's going to be like Doomsday and Secret Wars, and then hopefully things after that.
Which is crazy to me because here I'm thinking, she is one of the young Avengers, right? And by the time they get a Young Avengers movie together, she'll be like 30. 'Cause she's in her mid-20s right now, isn't she?
Yeah.
And
She can play
then
young. What's his name from 90210 was like 70, and he was playing a high school kid.
yeah, with Jason Priestley, um, or Luke Perry.
Luke Perry, yeah.
Yeah. But I was thinking, when Chris Evans started doing Captain America, he was 35. So that's just like 5 years younger. And she would be considered a young Avenger?
Well, because they're younger than, the old Avengers.
Right, because the old Avengers are like in their 60s now. Or the new wave Avengers.
And one of them turned into Doctor Doom.
Yeah.
Weird.
I honestly hope they don't show his face. That would be the best part. I mean, I guess at the beginning they have to. Beginning of his story, we're going to have to see his face.
Not necessarily. I mean, they could. I don't think we'll get a Doctor Doom origin story. We may get some flashbacks leading to kind of how he got to this point. So yeah, maybe they will show him in college with Reed Richards or something. But, best case scenario with this, this Doctor Doom is going to be the variant of Doom, like from the Fantastic Four universe. And it won't be the Doctor Doom that kind of carries in the MCU after that. Much as I like, Robert Downey Jr., he is an excellent actor. We don't need Iron Man being Doctor Doom too.
Right. My whole thought. And it's like, they could use Doomsday as like Infinity War was to Thanos, And all they'd have to do, they got several movies between now and then. All they have to do is pull them in on the after credit scenes, and then you do that movie right, and you're good. You don't have to have a big background, big origin story like you're saying.
I mean, I think most people know who Doctor Doom is, and those who don't, I think will catch on pretty quick. With good writing, you don't have to give everything about a character for people to understand who he is. They can have him walking down the street, kick a dog, and rob a blind guy or something. They'll be like, oh my God, he's a villain.
In his head, he thinks he's a good guy inside his head, so it's okay.
They all do.
The best villains do. So it'll be nice to
us. Tangenting without Doug.
How rude of us.
How?
Let's get back to Agatha. And we did see the most controversial character from WandaVision make an appearance. Ralph Bohner.
Oh, yes, that's right. That's right. Yeah, I wasn't taken with that either. I mean, I was like, really? Oh. I mean, it's a callback to Get a Laugh, and then his scene where he just becomes like this conspiracy theorist that he's just like, obviously he's lived through it and that's why he's shaken up. But the whole like the PTSD thing, and then I'll get you tickets to my show half off or something. I mean, that was a giggle, but to me it was kind of what do they call that? Like, I don't know, janky. Like,
see, I didn't think so. I thought it was rather well done. I think, like you said, she took over my house. She made me pretend to be her husband. I had to get out of there, and I am never going back. And it was so great too, because he's like, "Don't ask me about Agatha. Don't ask me about Agatha." He's like, "What about Agatha Harkness?" He's like, "What the?"
Yeah.
And it was nice. But I think my favorite part was in the flashback, seeing when Billy was being interviewed by her, and she had a Bohner family reunion thing.
Yeah, that's what I texted you guys and said, wow, they're really leaning into this Bohner thing. Because it was everywhere.
Well, it was his house. So, it makes sense that, she would probably be wearing his clothes at some point. But I think overall, they did a good job. I'm looking forward to next week. Now, this wasn't as good as last week's episode of Agatha either. I think last week was still, probably the best episode we got, but, it was nice. It didn't do a trial this week. This story was filling us in on Billy's character and getting to know him a little better. And now that the sigil's dropped and they're probably going to be going together, perhaps with other witches catching up, I'm assuming we're going to see Rio again. I don't think that's a big surprise. We may see Lilian the other way too. The potions witch. I don't know why I keep yawning.
Well, it's trying to get oxygen to your brain. Something is gutting up your oxygen to your brain. Oh, all right. Somebody hit Sully. Oh, he can't hear me.
And then this was kind of a longer episode too. I thought it was
42 minutes.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be 30, 35 minutes. And it went on. And that's not a bad thing. I think it told the story it needed to tell. Because obviously at the end, they're kind of taking off down the road to kind of finish this. Because, they both still have things that they want. Agatha wants her power back. And Billy obviously wants to find his brother. It'll be interesting to see if they finish the road before the series is over. Like if they finish the road.
It's nice that Agatha can see right through him. Like, she knows that what if he says something, whether it's a lie or not, you're just like your mother. I know your mother so well, and you're just like her. I like that she can see through him.
Oh, are you looking for your mother? Oh, she's dead. Oh, are you looking for that robot? He's dismantled. Oh, are you looking for your missing brother? I was like, Kathryn Hahn does such a good job as Agatha. She just plays the character, so well. And I'm glad that, she came back for this because it's a good show. I think it's moving the MCU forward. It's doing something a little different than some of the other shows, and it's nice to kind of get a mixing of things. So while this isn't, my favorite thing ever, because that's going to be the Wonder Man series, of course, but at least, it's giving us some, MCU lore with, witches and the Witch's Road and things like that. And I hope, with what you said earlier, I do hope we see Mephisto come into play in some way, because if Wanda didn't destroy the Darkhold like everyone believes, he might want to get in the fray and try to secure power for himself. So we could see him playing a role in the hunt for Tommy, or just in them finding, Wanda again. They may find Wanda before they find Tommy. She may participate, try kind of a, children's crusade type thing where, she's trying to find her kids because no one will ever know what she gave up.
They'll never know what you've done for them. But I keep losing my train of thought right when I go to speak. But it's like this part was created, like you're saying, like, Ryan Reynolds is Deadpool. Kathryn Hahn is, Agatha. Who else could be Agatha? She does it very well. And I just want the show, like, I'm debating this in my head as you were talking, that I want the show to mean something to the greater MCU, but at the same time, does every show have to, relate to the greater MCU? It doesn't, but it doesn't have to, but at the same time, I don't think this show is strong enough on its own not to do that. I know they've mentioned the Avengers in this episode, and then of course the Wanda thing. But I just wanted to, like, if they're going to have another spin-off show from this for Wiccan, I want it to mean something. I want it to factor heavily into phase 5 or 6 or whatever it is, And I don't know if it is. I don't know if it will or not. That's what I'm wrestling with the series, because to me overall, if it had that underlying meaning that it was going to expand somewhere else, and it wasn't just like, I was just thinking this is the one season show. I don't know. I might rate it high if I felt like there's some underlying meaning to it.
Well, there is underlying meaning. I mean, Billy's trying to find his brother. Agatha's trying to get her powers back. And while it may not play into the grand scheme of the multiversal saga, it's still bringing characters in. I mean, we saw it in the first 3 phases. There would be a movie that didn't do much to the overall Infinity, saga, but was still good. I mean, you had movies that didn't really seem to care about the rest of the MCU, and that's still good. I mean, I get it. I wish, it seems like we're deep into Phase 5, and we've gotten multiversal movies, but nothing really pushing
Any
the
direction.
whole multiversal saga together. And I'm sure
Right.
it'll come together at some point. It just seemed like, some of it may have to do with Jonathan Majors, troubles with the law and him being dropped, and them pivoting to Doctor Doom. But it seemed like we knew a lot more about Thanos by this point, and knew about the Infinity Stones and kind of what was going on and what was coming. Where this, we know that Secret Wars is coming, but there hasn't been much in the way of movies or TV shows that have kind of gotten us there. We had No Way Home.
Yeah.
We had Multiverse of Madness, which is just kind of multiverse stories and hasn't led into what's coming, because it's not just all of a sudden the multiverse explodes. They're probably going to use Doom as a Beyonder type character, or they'll introduce the Beyonder to bring all this together, and with the incursions and everything else going on. And they've dropped, at the end of Doctor Strange, there's an incursion between this universe and the 838. We got to stop it. So maybe the next Doctor Strange movie will hit it a little harder, but it really hasn't. It hasn't felt like a cohesive phase, which is fine too.
Right.
You can read it as comic book readers. There's a lot of times, each comic is just doing its own thing, and then occasionally they'll have a big overarching story where they kind of, I wouldn't even say come together, but each comic is hitting a different aspect of that big event, and we just haven't felt that.
Yes.
I think that's what made, the Infinity Saga so special. All these things started tying together, and Thanos was popping up in Guardians of the Galaxy at the end of Avengers and all this other stuff, and it really just felt like an overarching story, where this feels like it's a bunch of single issues basically.
That's what I think. When you're in this when you're in the MCU, you have to write it that way. They can sequence.
Your microphone's kind of going out again, dude.
All right. Any better?
Oh yeah, much better.
Yeah, I know what it is. When a sound comes on my monitor, it ruins it for everything else.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay, because I was like, all of a sudden you were talking loud, and all of a sudden it went like quiet. I'm like, what the heck's going on, man? Well, good. So what were you saying? We didn't hear most of what you just said.
Oh, what was I saying? Start me off.
We were talking about how these are kind of single issues and not really tying all together to the multiverse.
Yeah, and I think when you're making movies and you're making the MCU, unless there's certain circumstances like Werewolf by Night.
Hello, guys.
Hey, buddy. That I think you need to write it like if they had taken like the first 3 phases and they did it perfect. They had the Infinity Saga. And they do the phases 4, 5, and 6, and maybe they make that Civil War. You know what I mean?
You have to pay for it. By Twitch. No, we'd lose money. We would lose money because you would pay like $3.99 and we'd only get like $2.35. No, not at all. They got to make their money too, buddy. We're using their servers to stream.
Oh, so they get like $1.99?
Something like that, yeah, exactly. But thank you, I do appreciate that.
Guys, you might want to sub.
Thanks, buddy. Yeah, you heard Sully. Sub. If you're out there, give us a subscribe. If you're on YouTube, it's free, so please subscribe to us if you like it. Like, chat. If you're watching us on Twitch and you feel like subbing to us, we know it costs money. Not telling you to spend your hard-earned money, but if you do, we definitely appreciate it. Now back. What were you saying, Dave? You've been interrupted twice.
I was saying, yeah, with the MCU, I think you have to write it like a big arching story, and each individual movie has to feed into that story somehow, like they did with, like you were saying, with the Civil War saga, and each different character had their own, version of what was going on. If you make movies like that, I think they did that great in the first three phases. It doesn't have to be like, always feeding into the story like with the entire plot line of the Solo movie, but at least there has to be an element to it. You know what I mean? That feeds into the overall arc story.
Yeah, and sometimes, you look at like The Winter Soldier, which could be the best MCU movie. It had nothing to do with Thanos, but it still, introduced characters, it did some things, and it was just a great movie overall. But you're kind of right. We've gotten, the MCU is kind of known for being this intricate story, overarching through movies and TV and everything else, and they haven't been hitting on it for the multiversal saga. So it'll be interesting to see if they start kind of tying into that. But I don't see it because we got Agatha now, and then we got Captain America: Brave New World, Daredevil, Born Again, Thunderbolts, Fantastic Four. Fantastic Four is probably, if anywhere, where we're going to start hitting on the multiversal saga. But, I don't think Daredevil is really going to be hitting on a multiversal note. It'll hopefully be great, but it's not going to be a multiversal story, So, this is almost getting wrapped up, and we don't have that main storyline really going yet, fired off in full. So, it's probably going to feel a little bit rushed when we get to that point.
Yeah.
But I hope it isn't. I hope they do a good job but I'm kind of looking forward to the multiversal saga being over. Because they almost, are relying on it for cameos and stuff, nostalgia from other things. No Way Home, I loved it. It was great seeing Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield back as Spider-Man, but we don't need that every movie now. I want to see Spider-Man and Daredevil team up against the Kingpin. I don't need to see those guys again, or I don't need to see more villains from the other Spider-Man movies. I would rather see something original, We don't need everyone from the Fox X-Men movies, to make an appearance. Now, in Secret Wars, it'd probably, be a nice cameo, but let's get to the mutant saga. Let's start telling, single universe stories that we want to see. We don't need just wackiness abounding with old characters and new characters and all that. Tell the story, then let's get back to, more, I don't want to say grounded, because they don't have to be grounded.
Aimed?
More single universe stories.
Yes. I 100% agree with that. And, if you wanted to, all right, so is Daredevil going to play a big part in this multiversal saga? No, I'm sure it's not a big deal. They could focus on the street level stuff with certain characters, like with him, the Punisher, and all the ones that were from Netflix, and Spider-Man, and the Kingpin. They could have great stories there. They could have more than one story there. That's why it's distressing to hear that they're already changing. Well, they're talking about changing the plot to Spider-Man 4. It's kind of worrisome. I wish they would do what we had all thought what they were going to do, because that sounded amazing, and that would even have the star power that they wanted for that too.
Sony's so worried that if they, oh my God, No Way Home did so much, we need to do something like that again. They don't understand that if they did a movie with Spider-Man and Daredevil fighting the Kingpin, it would make billions too. It would not be.
Oh yeah.
It would not do like but with the Marvels, bombing at the box office, the Joker 2 bombing at the box office. I really worry that they're gonna the movie studios are going to get skittish about trying anything new. Like where we're at now, Marvel would have never made Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh yeah.
They
No
would have
way.
been so worried about it bombing, we would have never got it. And that's not the way you need to approach these movies, because the general public will get bored if they just another same movie we just got. You got to take chances. You got to do different things. You got to keep it fresh. And we know how studio execs are. They're not one to take chances unless they think it's going to make them a bunch of money. And they're starting to get gun shy because of the issues. Aquaman bombed, the Marvels bombed, Morbius bombed. What else is
The
bombed?
Joker,
Yeah, Joker 2.
and the Flash.
Oh, the Flash. That was the one I was thinking of. Yeah. These are all like not losing money at the box office, so before where they're like, all right, comic book movies are box office gold, they started getting lazy and saying, we'll just put anything out and people will come in droves. So
Yeah.
now they're getting to the point where they're too worried to make anything different. They're just, let's repeat what
Yeah.
already worked because it worked.
Like-
And that's not going to work forever either.
It was obvious with Deadpool and Wolverine. I mean, it is what we wanted, but we got another No Way Home. We got the celebrities back, and that's what people loved when they saw it. And I'll admit it, I loved it when I saw it. I hope it started a film, a solo film for Gambit. I think that would be awesome. But you're right, it's formulaic. They went back to it because we got some cameos in here, and it's gonna work, and it worked. Now, let's say they make a movie with a Fantastic Four. The comic book people are gonna love it, but the general public, will they be a little more like, all right, we don't know these characters type of thing? Are we gonna get another? Is this gonna be another origin story? Because I can say that they might not know the characters because let's face it, those Fox Fantastic Four movies aren't the greatest movies.
The ones with Jessica Alba and stuff, a little better than the Fan-Four-tastic or whatever the heck that was called, which that movie was so discombobulated. I still have no idea what they were trying to do, and that was just bad. And I'm sure, the one thing I do want, I'm not, oh, my internet connection is unstable. Oh, I believe we're frozen. OBS is disconnected and reconnecting.
Hey, you're back.
Oh, excellent, excellent. I was talking, and then I'm like, uh-oh, David's not moving again. I bet that's me. So it looks like we're back up. I don't know if we're back up on YouTube. Oh, we are back up on the YouTubes. Thank God. And I believe, are we up on Twitch?
We are not up on Twitch.
Oh, we are back up. It just kind of fell off and came back up. But what I was saying when my internet went wonky, I don't want necessarily more multiversal stories, but it would be nice if we got like Miles Teller from the Fan-Four-tastic to play the Maker in a future Fantastic Four movie. For those of you who don't know who the Maker is, he's Reed Richards from the Ultimate Universe, who kind of became a villain. And, they've been writing a lot of stories about him. Like, he brought back the Ultimate Universe, but was smart enough to keep all the heroes down. Like, he made it so Peter Parker never got bit by a radioactive spider. And he did all these things to kind of keep it down. And now the heroes are starting to come out. And it would be nice to see, this Fantastic Four maybe take on the Maker. And they could say, oh, it's a Reed Richards from another universe. Because the Fantastic Four has always delved into the more, cosmic things like that. Just, we don't need to see, Jessica Alba, and we don't need to see Chris Evans come back as the Human Torch, because it was done well enough in, Deadpool and Wolverine. We just need to move on. And I think Deadpool even said that. Take the L. Well, don't take the L
Just
per
take
se.
the L, man. You're coming in at the right time.
Finish. Uh-oh, what?
It froze again.
Oh, okay. How's that go now? What's going on? finish the saga, because I do want to see Secret Wars. You know, if they can do Doomsday and Secret Wars right, it'll be a nice finish to a mediocre phase, and then let's get on with the mutants. And man, don't mess that up. Let's, get that going. If they're going to do kind of a soft reboot after Secret Wars and kind of bring new new actors to play Iron Man and Captain America and all that, cool. But get it right. Let's get back on track a little bit. There's been some good.
I wonder if one of them team up movies is eventually going to be Avengers versus X-Men.
It's.
I mean,
very well could be. I mean, it's happened enough in the comics that they're hopefully have some thoughts on how they want to handle it, because, it's always good when teams like that, kind of have a scrap over something. So, I hope they don't rush it.
Did you read this week? And I always check with you when I see these things. I read this week that the end of Captain America: Brave New World is going to be setting up Planet Hulk.
That is the rumor. Obviously, nothing's been confirmed, but with the, that's one of the things. Like, we know the leader is going to be a villain in it. We obviously know, Thunderbolt Ross is going to Rolk out, and we've had She-Hulk introduced, and we've had, Scar, Hulk's son, introduced. So
come on down to the barbecue.
Hey, what's up? I'm Hulk's son. How you doing? But, with all those things in place, it could be just someone saying, it looks like they're doing this to kind of lead down this path. Will it? I mean, I hope so. I mean, I think that would be cool, as long as they do it well. Bring back Ed Norton, have his Hulk fighting and stuff. I'm kidding. They're not going to bring back Ed Norton.
Right,
But,
and that's just another direction that they're going. That'd be like you put a spray gun on it and spray in every direction. That's what I mean about the first, the first three phases. They all seemed that they were all going to a certain direction. They were all going to end up somewhere. And this one just seems like, whoa, we're going this way. Doctor Strange over here, Hulk over here. You know what I mean? There's this, and then Daredevil and Spider-Man over here. It's kind of aimless compared to the first three phases.
Yeah, no. And, they're trying to do, sometimes they get, we saw that with, like, some of the DC shows, like Titans on HBO or Max or whatever it was on. It was DC Universe first and stuff. They wanted so bad to get to some of the newer, runs. Like, they wanted Jason Todd to be the Red Hood so bad. And they, it's like, don't race to it. And it seems like Marvel's almost getting to that point too, where they're like, okay, let's just do World War Hulk. You know what? People aren't happy with some things, so let's switch to that. You don't need to do that. You can do World War Hulk at any time. Have World War Hulk happen outside the multiverse, because then you can have the heroes. That's almost a team up level event. You could have, if you have Avengers movies and X-Men movies and Fantastic Four, and then you have a World War Hulk event. That could be where Fantastic Four, Avengers, and X-Men come together to try to stop it. But I think you're right. I think they're thinking, this is really popular, so maybe we should add that in. And, we'll see when Brave New World comes out how it kind of all plays out. I hope the Scoopers are wrong. I don't think we need to rush a World War Hulk movie.
Yeah, I agree. I think we should just regain the focus and have everybody work towards a goal here. That's what the team up movies. That's why they're so fun, because everyone's working towards a goal, but they're all doing it their own way.
Yeah, and something like that would be better suited post Secret Wars, because you would probably have a new Captain America, a new Iron Man, and you'd be able to have all of the heroes kind of going up and trying to stop it, and not just what we have left here. Because at this point, it would be like, okay, we're going to have the Young Avengers, and we're going to have, we'll bring in the Fox X-Men to try to stop them, and we'll bring in these guys, instead of having it like a more cohesive universe to kind of tee up against it. They're going to, dig into the nostalgia again. We'll bring the Thing in from You know,
Yeah.
Michael
Michael
Chiklis.
Chiklis. Yeah, you can go too far with it. They haven't reached it for me yet, but they might.
No, and they certainly haven't reached it for me yet either. But what scares me is No Way Home did box office bananas. Deadpool and Wolverine, the highest grossing R-rated movie of all time. You know, all of the movies doing this multiversal sort of cameo-apalooza is generating great box office, and we all know how the studio execs are. This is working. We need to do more of it.
Yep.
And they're going to reach that point where everyone's
About
just
the artistic. But I'm sorry, you broke up there for a second. They're not thinking the artistic side of it. They're not thinking if it's a great story, it doesn't matter if you have cameos or not.
Yeah. You can have a great movie with a great story that doesn't have to have anyone but the main characters. It doesn't have to have surprise cameos. It doesn't have to do. Sometimes that can deter from it. You know, it didn't in Deadpool and Wolverine. You know, all the cameos they had, I thought were played really well. Seeing Wesley Snipes' Blade was great. Seeing freaking what's his name is Gambit doing such a great job, that was a nice surprise. Seeing Jennifer Garner as Elektra, but once again, you've done it a few times. Don't keep trying to go back to that well.
Yeah.
Use your characters you got, write good stories, and everything will be good.
And that's what I was kind of thinking now. Here, watch me tie this back into Agatha. Is that the structure of TV shows? It seems to be starting to be with the flashback episode. It's starting to happen on every show. You know, it's not unique anymore. It's becoming standard. So I'm not complaining about it for this episode necessarily, but if it just keeps happening on every series, it's going to start to become all right. Cliche. Let's move on to something new. You know, let's come up with a new way of storytelling. And they have been telling us stories like this. I think the first one I saw had major flashbacks and kind of started in the middle was Batman Begins. That's the first one I can recall. And then, they did a great job with the flashbacks on that. Bringing in every moment in that movie to, here's the reason why he's feeling like that right now. Brilliant. And then it just started a tidal wave of it. And now it just seems like, and then there were shows like The Walking Dead where they would do an entire episode on one character instead of the main cast. And then I thought that was cool. And then Lost did that too, and that was cool. But now it seems to happen on every show. Not every episode, but every show, and it's starting to happen. I was like, okay, I get it. Maybe something new would be nice.
Yeah, and if they do a flashback episodes and it adds to the overall story and fills in the viewer on a few items and is interesting, do it if you have to, but don't have it become they did a really good flashback on Penguin, we need to have a flashback now. Only do it if the story dictates it needs to be done, because you're right.
Exactly.
We see patterns in movies and television. Something's popular, everything starts becoming that, and let's not do that.
Yeah. You want notes on how to do it? Like with the Penguin this last week. One of the best shows ever on TV.
Without a doubt. Well, you did kind of bring it back into Agatha, Should we rate this episode now?
Yeah. I could do that.
Sounds good.
I'll start it. And yeah, like I said, there's a lot of things on this episode for me that slowed it down. I thought maybe if they garnered that momentum they got at the end of the last episode and ran with it a little bit before flashing back, that would have been better for me. There was a whole section I skipped in there, like 5 minutes of the show, that just I'm frozen here, aren't I?
You were, yep. So we didn't hear much of what you said.
Oh, dang it. What
so you gave it a 9.5, It
No.
was another incredible flashback episode.
Yeah. Well, for the reasons I listed, um, when you couldn't hear me, no, there was a section of the show. There's a section of the show I fast forwarded through because it was the scene was kind of boring me, and I wish they had started with the momentum that they had gained from the last show, and starting off with that. But when they flashed back immediately, and I was thinking, okay, is this going to be the entire episode? I hope not. And luckily, it wasn't. It was about half the episode. And when Agatha pulled herself out the mud, that from that moment on, it was better than the flashback for me. And I know they needed the flashback to show who he was. I mean, but um, to me, it was still kind of blah. And so I'm still going to rate it a 5. I think I've given every show a 5. I'm giving this one a 5.
And let's see, Doug, who was having some internet issues, wasn't able to join us. He is also giving last night's episode 5. He said there was a few okay moments. I didn't hate the return of Ralph Bohner. I didn't either. I thought they actually handled that well. I rolled my eyes at Billy meeting all the members of the coven beforehand. See, that didn't bother me at all. I kind of liked that it was Lilia who did the sigil and kind of, it wasn't just him all of a sudden running into her. She was like making money in a bar mitzvah and just happened to, figure something out. Who else? Oh, he also saw the potions witch on the thing, and then he ran into Sharon when he got hit by the car, which we had already seen. So yeah, that didn't bother me at all. I thought it was nice little tie-ins, Lilia being the one who did the sigil, and then just seeing the potions lady on the video. I guess that one wasn't so great. That really didn't make much sense. It was just there to have her. But for me, I thought this was a pretty good episode. Was it as good as last week's? It wasn't. Did it accomplish what it needed to accomplish with the flashbacks? We got the story about how Billy Maximoff aged up. We know what happened at the end of WandaVision and how this kid, died. It tied back to the car crash that we heard Agatha talking about in her detective series. And I mean, overall, I still think Joe Locke is doing a much better job than I thought he was going to do. Kathryn Hahn, like we talked earlier, is just a really good Agatha Harkness. She plays the role so good. And, we got like the whole Ralph Bohner scene. I was like, yesterday, I had seen some stuff from the mid-season trailer, and you saw Ralph Bohner with the hat to the back, and people were guessing online who it was. And I was like, okay, are they going to go with the joke they had before, in the sense that they're not going to make this, Evans Peter character from the Fox X-Men universe? And I thought they handled it well, Obviously, everyone was affected differently by the events in WandaVision. We know that almost that entire town is still there, doesn't want to talk about it. They were kind of helping Agatha a little bit when she was under, Wanda's spell. They were kind of protecting her a little bit. But it was nice to see him, like, you don't understand. Agatha took my house, she forced me to do things, and, all this other stuff, and I don't want to talk about it. And you're right, the whole, well, I'll take cash, or, I'll give you half off my tickets, for the show. I need to get people in the seats. I thought that was pretty good. I wasn't, like, dying laughing, but I chuckled. It was all right. So, and I still am looking forward to what happens next week. Obviously this episode kind of cut away from we've just finished the last trial, we're going to do the new trial, and then we're going to finish this and we'll move on next week. That broke that mold in this episode, and I kind of enjoyed it. So I'm looking forward to next week, wondering if we're going to see the 2 other witches that, were kind of pushed off the road at the end of last episode, and then we'll go from there. So I'm going to give this a 6. Not as good as last week's, but I think this episode is better than the ones before it, like 1 through 4. I think 5 is the best. This is probably second best that they've done, and then everything else has been about average. But, it's not breaking the bank. It's not, and it could just be timing. Our scores might be a little higher if it wasn't competing with one of the best comic book shows that has come out in years. It's tough to watch when you're watching the Penguin and then you watch this, and I try to keep that out of my mind when I'm watching this, but it's hard not to because you just see such amazing writing and acting and storytelling, plot. Everything about that show is damn near perfect, and this one is
Yeah.
good.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a serious drop off.
Yeah. Like I gave last
But
week's episode a 10, and if I had to pick, like I will probably watch the Penguin show. I've watched it twice. Last week's episode. I'll probably watch it again before Sunday. Will I watch this again? Yes, because I haven't watched it with my wife yet. But am I like, can't wait to
Can't
watch
wait.
it? No. I'll watch it. I won't mind it, but I'm not like fired up to see it again.
Well, and I'm thinking about the previous, the recent MCU TV shows. And if you're looking at that, I mean, what was right before that? What was the last one before this? Echo?
Hold on. Let me check. The last one, yes, was Echo. Yep.
Which I thought was pretty good. But before that, they were on a bad streak. So for them
Not
to
true,
be-
sir. Because
what
we
I
had
meant.
Loki season 2 before that.
Oh, true. That was an excellent season.
But before
but then
that,
She-Hulk was that
no, Secret Invasion.
terrible.
I'm sorry, Special Investigation.
Special Investigation and Moon Knight and She-Hulk. Those were all, I know you didn't hate him as much as I did, but that's still a dip.
No,
You
it
know.
was. I won't argue. I know, you definitely disliked it a lot more than me, but I wasn't like, it was so great, it was amazing, because, we got, before Special Investigation, we had the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special, which I thought was entertaining. It was very good.
Oh yeah, that was good.
We had Werewolf by Night before that, which I enjoyed that special presentation. I'm actually
Yep.
thinking about watching it again for Halloween just for fun. But then it was She-Hulk before that. And that was average at best.
At
Daredevil
best.
episode was a little better than average, and there was some where I was like, okay, you guys are leaning a little too much into this fourth wall breaking and kind of being, how you want to be. And then we had Miss Marvel before that, which I thought was good. Moon Knight before that, which, I mean, in my opinion, is the worst MCU show out to date. I love Moon Knight.
Special Investigation.
Oh, no, I take that back. You're right. Moon Knight is the second worst. I was thinking second worst superhero show, that evolves around a hero. But yeah, Special Investigation is the worst. But then before that, we had Hawkeye, which was good. Loki, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and WandaVision. So,
Yeah, and those were all above average, not excellent.
Yep. Yeah, and Falcon and the Winter Soldier seemed like a lot was cut because of COVID and other things. It had some really good momentum pieces and some good stuff going on, and then it was felt rushed and janky at times. So, and we knew they cut out a whole, plot thread about.
Storyline.
Yeah.
A virus. So yeah, I mean they definitely started out, I wouldn't say stumbled out of the gate, because the first few shows were good, not great. But like the ones you listed there, when it took that, it's hard to come back from that. It's hard to come back from Special Investigation. And for me, it's really hard to come back from She-Hulk. But those one-offs, great. Those were awesome. I would watch Werewolf by Night again, and the Guardians of the Galaxy. I could watch anything from Guardians of the Galaxy at any time. But so this show being average, it's actually improving the overall MCU television. So there's that.
And some of the things they're doing right. Each episode feels like an episode of a television show, and doesn't feel like just a chopped up piece of a longer, movie. It does feel like they're finally kind of hitting their stride in how to do a television show. Echo, I enjoyed it, but I'm glad they released it all at once, because it made more sense seeing that all in one piece, because it was just basically a very long movie. It did not feel like a television show at all. So hopefully, they're righting the ship. We know there's been a lot of turnover and changes and stuff going on at Marvel Studios. And let's hope this is, a step in the right direction. Because I know we don't need any more special investigations.
Oh, dear Lord, no. You'll never see this twist coming. Oh, we predicted it before you wrote it.
Just like the Acolyte. I mean, we got twists coming, guys. It's like... And while some of the twists in this, I think, have been pretty predictable, it's still entertaining to watch. Like, it'd be if they could somehow, not every show can do like a Sixth Sense type thing where you're like, what the? I didn't see that coming in when you rewatch it. You're like, wow, all the clues were there and I just missed it. We were guessing that, Billy was going, or the teen was going to be Wiccan. They kind of hinted at it. They were kind of trying to trick us with the Nicholas Scratch stuff, but, we kind of saw through that, which is probably, why we're between average and, sixes with most of our ratings for this. It hasn't been, a complete, knockout of the park. If they were able to somehow, trick everybody into not seeing it was, Wiccan, that would have been great. That'd be so hard to pull off, too, because as soon as there's a teen who's doing magic, everyone is like, okay, this is a WandaVision spinoff. We know Billy, Wanda's son in the comics is a magician, is a wizard, I should say. So, yeah, we know it's coming. But they could have.
Yeah, you don't get like twists like that, like, the usual suspects type of twist. You don't see that too often. And everybody's trying to put a twist in their show these days. So.
Yeah. They try so hard to make it unseeable. And that's the problem, you have to, much like the Sixth Sense, it has to make sense, especially in a rewatch. Like, if you don't catch it, if you go back and know what's going to happen, you're like, oh, wow, they showed it right there. Like, in the Sixth Sense, no one was ever talking to Bruce Willis. And It was always cold around him and stuff. And you notice this the second time around. Some things will be like, hey, you didn't see that twist coming. Yeah, because you didn't lay the groundwork for it. You can't just do a twist with nothing laid out for it either. It's a very fine line you have to walk. And to do it effectively, it's not easy. And
not everyone can do it.
Exactly. And I don't know if they would have just been upfront that, this was Wanda's kid, but we didn't know how he became, an older kid or something, if that would have been better. Probably not. It would have been probably about the same. So, it's all right. At least this show has me thinking, oh, what's going on here? And thinking, much like WandaVision, like, man, I would watch an episode of WandaVision. I'd be like, I want to know what's next. They gave us stuff. I want to figure it out. Little teases about Mephisto. We were jumping all over and just, it became more about, okay, what's going to happen next with what we got during that show. Yeah. And while we get that a little bit here, it's not as intense as it was for WandaVision.
And that's what I think WandaVision conditioned us to not be as trying to think so much about what's next, because we got so into it and none of it happened. Well, no, it all happened because we're right all the time. And that's why I grabbed onto that cut on his eyebrow, because I'm thinking that's going to be something, because they're making such an effort to have it in some scenes and some not. And and I'm thinking, no, they're just doing that and they're not even going to address it. I'm wondering if the kid that played him in WandaVision, did he have that?
No.
Okay, so I don't know.
I think it's just Joe Locke is playing. It's more of a way for the viewer to know when he's himself.
He's not in a when he's not in a trial or something.
Yes, when he's in a trial, his clothes change and he's got, the full eyebrow. I don't think it's going to be anything, deeper than that. It's just a way for the viewer to know what's going on.
Right, and that's what I mean about being conditioned with WandaVision, when we are expecting, all right, what's next? We got to know. And that's why I'm looking for the smallest details, and I latched onto that, and it's not going to end up, it's a nothing burger. And I shouldn't have latched onto it, but I did because of WandaVision, the way that was done.
It's still fun to do it. I think WandaVision thought it would be cute to put these things in there. and didn't know how, the fans would react. But I mean, that was during COVID.
Yeah.
We had seen Spider-Man Far From Home, and then there was like nothing for a long time. So it was like the first little tidbit of MCU stuff, in the beginning of Phase 4 after the Infinity Saga. So we were all ready to devour it, like, oh, they're hitting at Mephisto. He's going to play big in these phases. Oh, Paul Bettany's acting in a scene with someone he's never done before. Oh, yeah, who's that going to be? And then it's like,
Oh,
all right, you guys, that's not funny.
stop trolling us.
If you're going to hint at something, I mean, you can have an Easter egg that never pans out, just a little something in the background because, we get 50 comics a month. They can add a lot more detail in it. And you get 12 issues a year out of most comics. You get one movie every 3 years at the most for a certain character. But if you're going to hint at something so strongly, don't have it be nothing. At least have some sort of payoff. Especially with all the hints, with how big a role, Mephisto has played in Marvel Comics over time, especially with Agatha and Wanda and everything else. As soon as those started hitting, everyone was like, oh yeah, they're doing it. No, they're not.
And with it being the lockdown, like you said, even casual viewers who had, they had nothing else to do, they had to stay at home, they probably started researching this themselves.
Yeah. Oh, and I'm sure a lot of people started, back reading some of those comics and stuff. Like, oh, I need to read the Children's Crusade, and I need to read all this stuff. And, oh, we know Kang is going to be one of the big bads. I'm going to read Young Avengers because I know Iron Lad, is a variant of Kang. And, oh, yeah, we're going to get all this done. And then none of that has really paid off in any meaningful way. I still have hope, knowing we don't know this for sure. Rumored that Sacha Baron Cohen is playing Mephisto in Ironheart, and the fact that Ironheart was filming the same time as Agatha, perhaps we will get, a little Mephisto action to finish Agatha All Along. That'd be great.
I just hope they do because they've already even used his name. They've used his name on the show.
They used his name.
Yes, I can't believe my throat.
Absolutely.
Oh, I don't have a drink.
Oh,
I drank it last time. I wish Doug could get here so I don't have to leave you all alone to get me a drink.
well, we're probably almost done anyway.
I mean, we already have rated it, so
Yeah.
I think my overall rating for the show so far has just been a 5 all the way down the road.
Yeah, it'd be
The
weird
Witches
if your
Row.
overall rating was different than what you've given every show.
Nope, my overall rating's a 10. You gotta add
This
them
is
all.
about a 9.7. Even though each episode has been average, together they are a magnificent piece of television.
In fact, whatever Keith rates it, I'm rating it 1 higher.
How dare you? One of the things we are getting this weekend, though, is New York Comic Con. And they have, we've already seen pictures of Daredevil's suit from Born Again, the Kingpin's suit. So I don't know. I don't think we'll get any MCU stuff dropping. We know that Daredevil Born Again is coming in March. So I don't think we're quite ready for a trailer to drop yet. It'd be nice if they did, because we know they played footage at Comic-Con that was never released, or D23, which was never released to the open, even though we saw bootleg footage. We didn't see it, Kevin.
Nope.
We didn't see it. I swear, we saw nothing. But they had footage from Daredevil Born Again. They had footage from Ironheart. They had a bunch of footage that never got Thunderbolts, which has been released now. But it'd be nice to see that. And DC wise, they are having a Creatures Commando panel on Saturday the 19th.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, so hopefully we get
It's going out in
something
December.
Yep. So hopefully we get something more from Creatures Commando. They had one, a trailer kind of drop, and maybe we'll get a little more because that is coming in less than 2 months. Good time to get that hyped. James Gunn has been hyping it on Threads and Twitter and stuff. So hopefully we get something good. We're going to have a little lull after the Penguin and Agatha. we hear. Oh, you know, the other thing is Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. Supposedly there is a trailer ready to roll. Whether it just shows at the Comic-Con and not released, or they're just going to release it soon, that'd be good too. Because the rumor is that's coming in January.
See what I thought when James Gunn went to DC that he was going to take all the, the DC and make it a continuous universe like the MCU did, because everything that happens in the MCU happens in the MCU. And I know that the Batman is separate, and well, to tell you the truth, it's doing fantastic. If they could somehow figure that Batman into the DCU, that'd be great. But if there's any more of these shows that are outside the DCU, say as like the Joker, that's a DC movie, but it's outside the DCU. That's concerning to me. If they could make it, if he wants to make it like the MCU and have everything tie into each other and have some big blockbuster at the end of it, I think they're going about it wrong. Because a lot of people are going to be confused about who is in the, universe and who's not.
Well, and remember that they haven't even started the DCU. It hasn't kicked off yet. It's kicking off in December. So I think we may see an Elseworlds movie here and there, but I think we're going to start, he even said Peacemaker 2, or Peacemaker Season 2, is set in the DCU, where 1 isn't. And it would kind of be explained in that season. So I do think once this kicks off, we got Creature Commandos, we got Superman, we got Amanda Waller show, we got Peacemaker, we got Booster Gold, we got Lanterns, Supergirl. Once that kicks off, I think we're going to start seeing that happen. We'll see less Elseworlds movie, even though we do know that Matt Reeves' Batman is separate, and that's going to continue, thankfully. But when Batman the Brave and the Bold comes out for the DCU, will the casual viewer be like, wait, why is there 2 Batmans? This doesn't make any sense. So hopefully they do a good job of keeping that in. And, kind of what we talked about a couple weeks ago with Lanterns, supposedly that murder mystery in Lanterns is kind of what starts branching off to the whole, it's not a phase, it's chapter 1, Gods and Monsters. So supposedly that's going to start tying the overall plot of chapter 1 together. So that'd be good. I trust James Gunn. I think he's an excellent writer. And, I think he will be smart enough to have everything tie together in a certain way, but still let certain filmmakers make what they want, if that makes sense.
I don't know if you you want to have Doug come on, or are you ready?
Is he ready? I don't know if he's ready to come on.
Yeah, he just sent a message.
He said I have wired internet. Wi-Fi is still down.
No, his last message said I'm ready to come on. Do you guys still need me?
I didn't see it.
Oh no, he sent it just to me. Should I jump on, or are you guys almost done?
He can jump on if he wants. I think we're almost done, but he can definitely jump on. Let me get.
But no, I fully trust James Gunn's writing ability. I just don't, maybe when people are going to ask me, like, is that the same Batman? Or is that the same, Peacemaker? And it's going to be like, well, here, and I'm going to have to break out a science book and explain it to them. I just wish it was more cohesive. But, I mean, there's only so much you can do.
Yeah, Warner Brothers is going to Warner Brothers. So, once again, as long as he makes good movies, people will come out and see it. I can't wait, for Superman to come out. I really fully trust that we're going to see the Superman that I grew up on. And, it's going to be this, shining beacon of hope and, heroism and everything else. And Oh my god.
He's joining.
I'm ready to transition when he jumps on to the right scene. But yeah. You know, supposedly a cut of Superman is already completed. Doug!
Hey, Doug.
Buddy.
All right. The
So you guys
third
didn't talk
curse.
about Agatha yet, did you?
No, we were waiting for you.
I knew it.
We told everyone that you gave it a 9.9.
Yeah.
Said it was the
Oh.
greatest flashback episode you've ever seen.
Oh, the greatest that I've ever seen. Really?
Better than anything else you've seen this week. And see, the one thing I
Wow.
did want to talk to you about with what you wrote, we did read what you wrote. You know, you gave it a 5. Now when you said you rolled your eyes when you saw like the other witches from the coven,
Yeah.
you
yeah.
didn't
I thought-
you didn't like the Lilia kind of sort of being doing her shtick for a bar mitzvah and then being like, okay.
Oh. No, that was dumb. That was so dumb because I mean it's so coincidental. I mean, so you're gonna
All
tell me
movies are
that this
coincidental.
kid met literally everybody that he was going to be in a coven with, kind of, because he's not technically in the coven, but all these people that he was going to meet when Agatha was forming her new coven, and none of them remember each other at all. I mean, it's only been 3 years. And I get that they were kind of background characters. No. He met also,
Mrs. Hart.
no, not just Mrs. Hart. He met the Asian girl. What's her name? She was a police officer.
Alice Wu. Yes,
Yeah.
that's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
See, I
So,
didn't mind any of that at all. I definitely didn't think it was dumb.
To me, it was cringy. It was like too try hard. It's like, I know what you're doing. You want us to be like, oh my gosh, he met them before in the past. I'm just like, you're wasting my time. This is filler. If
But
you're
once
gonna do
again,
a
they
flashback,
were
come on,
all together in the same area. That's how they became a coven, because witches live in the same area. So it'd be very easy to run into them.
Dave, help me out here.
Dave loved it. He said,
Dave loved
"Greatest-"
it.
I did not love it either.
Am I crazy?
See, I didn't mind
No.
seeing Alice Wu. That was fine. Like, seeing the Potions Witch on the YouTube video or whatever, I was like, I didn't
Yeah,
really
I
understand
forgot about that one
That
too,
was the
yeah.
one. But seeing Lilia and being the one that did the sigil when she kind of figured out, oh, whoa, what's going on with this? You know, the two letters.
Yeah,
Has
okay.
2 separate lifelines. Did
So
you
I
get
didn't
that?
I didn't hate that we did find out where the sigil came from. That was kind of neat. And I also like the fact that he was the one that destroyed the sigil by crushing the talisman in his hand. That was kind of cool. Other than that, like, not much really impressed me about this episode. The only thing that I am curious about is, where was Rio this whole time? Like, when he was looking in the window and, you see Agatha as Agnes, and it looks kind of like she's just talking to herself.
He didn't see her.
And when they decide to continue on down the road, like, where is she? What is going on? I don't understand what happened to her. Or, because in the previous episodes, we know the other witches see her. Because she's summoned, so we know that much.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's going on. Like, I feel like the show is maybe trying to set up a mystery, but I'm not sure.
Well, we never saw her come out of the exit from the last trial.
True.
And maybe that has something to do with whatever she has to do with Alice Wu's dead body.
Is this like erasing her from the timeline or something?
No, not erasing her from the timeline. Just,
Well, she did say she collects the bodies.
yes.
Okay.
And so I do think she will be back. And I think the reason we didn't see
I
her
hope
this
so.
episode is because, it was filling in, how Willie Kaplan became, William Kaplan became Billy Maximoff.
Yeah. I was wondering if they were going to ditch the whole William Kaplan name altogether. I'm happy that they didn't. I know this sounds like extra nerdy, but I kind of like when they don't have an issue pulling things from the comics, even if it's cumbersome. I was like, back when we did the whole not Kang. What was his name at the end of the timeline?
Immortal.
Oh,
Or
He
He
Who
Who Remains.
He Who Remains. When we did He Who Remains, and we ended up finding out that what the MCU did was they essentially combined, two people, like I think Immortus and He Who Remains into one, one being. I was like, well, okay, I understand you've got to like get things done over and quick, but I would have preferred if you would have, you know, given us something more close to the comic. So when I heard, we're gonna introduce in the next episode, Billy Maximoff, I'm like, so are you gonna like ignore the whole like William Kaplan thing? But no, they didn't. So I was kind of happy for that. That's why it's not like, a 4 or a 3 for me. I'll keep my rating at a 5 just because like there were a few minor things like, and I know this sounds weird. I didn't hate the Ralph Boner moment. To me, I kind of thought it was sort of like a redemption for that character, as much as I hated it in WandaVision, as much as I despised the idea that they dangled a Quicksilver in front of us to do a boner joke. I was like, all right, this was kind of funny. The fact that he was like, he's an idiot. He's a big dumb idiot. And I love the fact that he like used his real name and that his Reddit name is Bonerific.
69. Bonerific 69.
69, of course. Like, it's so childish and I loved that. But
And they, I like too that I was telling Dave when we were talking earlier, they didn't say, okay, that bombed, everyone hated it, so now we're going to make him Quicksilver. They're like, okay.
no, they stuck with
like-
it. They're like, nope, we're keeping our boner joke.
Much like they did with the fake Mandarin. Trevor
Yeah,
Slattery from
they're
Iron Man
sticking
3.
with it.
I despise that character so much in Iron Man 3. And then when he showed up in Shang-Chi, nice little redemption arc. It's like, okay. And they kind of did the same with this. They didn't change anything. He's still the same character. They just, okay, we're going to make him, little conspiracy theory. But he's still the same dude. And even Dave and I both thought it was hilarious when he's like, you can pay me in cash or half off tickets to my one-man show because I really need to fill those seats.
Yeah.
And Evan Peters is a great actor. He did do a good job in this. But honestly, the
and
problem
also I did like the fact that in the flashback, Agnes is wearing the Boner family reunion shirt, and I need one of those now.
pitch a tent.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, come on, it's too perfect. Like,
I'm sure they have them now.
I need one. I need one.
It was funny because I didn't watch the show till today. As Doug knows, we had a big partner meeting at our office and everything. And by the time I got home last night and got homework done with the kids and everything, I went right to bed. And I'm like, I'll watch it tomorrow. But I was up this morning before I started work, and I was like, everyone's talking about. Sure, Dave mentioned it on Slack. I forget what he said. It didn't give it away, but everyone was talking. I'm like, okay, what the hell is he talking about? And then I saw like people like, we need this shirt, and I'm like, damn it. And it was great, what she was seeing in her head. You can only imagine.
Yeah.
She's this detective walking through town, and they even tied in the little crone thing, him finding it with what happened earlier. They tied in the car accident where, William Kaplan died, and then he, Billy Maximoff kind of took over the body and stuff. All good stuff. They're tying things in. The writing's not terrible. The acting's
so Tommy
good.
is still out there then, right?
Tommy is still out there. Whether he is inhabiting a body of anything right now, we don't know. But
He's in a snail.
yeah.
Oh God, that would be horrific for him. Take a speedster and shove him in like the slowest creature name. Oh, that would be cruel. But I kind of want them to do it now.
He's the snail. I mean, his whole life is in slow
He's
motion
like,
now.
and he's the fastest snail, so he goes faster than the average snail.
That's the opposite effect. He's slower.
Oh no!
Oh, that would be terrible.
That would be even worse.
He's so happy.
Watch him go.
You finally got me in a body.
Is he still alive? I think I saw him twitch.
It was the slowest twitch I've ever seen, but he did twitch.
All right, Tommy. Us and the rest of the Young Avengers, we're just gonna go stop this robbery on our own. Um, we'll check in on you later.
Be like,
Come back. Oh man, that was one heck. Boy, our teamwork was amazing. Hey Tommy, have you moved?
I'll be right there, guys.
And Dave and I were talking. It seems, we heard the rumor that there was going to be another spin-off show, The Hunt for Tommy. I don't know if this episode confirms that, or if, because The Witch's Road, you get what you most need. So he may there may not be a need for a show. Or, here's the thing. We know Billy's spirit or soul, whatever we're going to call it, when Wanda kind of, did what she, they'll never know what she gave up. But, his soul was out there and he kind of used whatever he had, magic, got lucky that a kid died, in a car accident and took over the body. What if Tommy's soul is with Mephisto?
Oh, that would be interesting.
And we have to. I don't know how he would convince Agatha to help him, but it could be something along those lines. That would be.
I think, this is my opinion, I think rather than creating a spin-off TV series where they have anywhere from 6 to 8 episodes, I think maybe a movie, or even if it's like a special presentation or something like that, just call it like, Wiccan and Speed. Just short and sweet, get it over with. We don't need a drawn-out mystery spin-off series of, Billy searching for clues, trying to find his long-lost ghost brother in some other body. At least I don't think so. I think that'd be overkill. And I don't know that I would sit there and want to watch week after week Billy unraveling the mystery of his, magic ghost brother.
That's the same thing I said.
I think you hit the nail on the head, though. A special presentation.
Yeah,
where we
just do
maybe
one of
get an hour and a half movie type event where.
Perfect.
Yep.
Yeah, it doesn't even need to go into theaters, because I can't imagine that kind of a movie would even do very good. But it also does not need to be like a bunch of episodes either.
Yeah.
That's what we were saying earlier. Like, I don't see 8 episodes out of this, but people like maybe 4 episodes. And like he also said, a special presentation.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever it needs to tell the story
minds.
the most succinctly is what they need to do.
Exactly. That's all they need. If they truly feel that kind of story needs to be told separate outside of this, which I don't even know. Like, I mean, are they still going to do any of the trials? I mean, it feels so.
Oh, I do
like,
think they're going to get
off
back
the tracks now.
I do think they're going to get back to the trials next week.
Okay.
Because they said, well, let's get back on the road and finish this up or whatever. So, I'm not convinced that Lilia and the potions witch are dead either. If Agatha was able to escape out of the quicksand, they might be able to also.
Okay.
Because we still.
I mean, I can see it happening, but I still think it'd be cheesy.
Well,
how you kill someone, you kill them.
The potion witch already did her trial, but they haven't done the divination trial that, would be personalized for her. So maybe she comes back. Maybe they don't come back at all. I could be wrong. When we saw Agatha crawling out, I'm like, which I think we all knew the main character that the show is named after probably wasn't going to die in the 5th episode. But
it would have been funny though.
We've already had 2 witches die. David said he thinks, we're going to see a witch die a week. And that has, of course, happened because we always say it. But we've seen witches die. We know that when the story that Agatha tells is there was only 2 of them that got out of it the last time. So, they got to keep the stakes up. The Witch's Road isn't something everyone travels down and makes it through and gets granted a wish or the power or what they need. So they do have to have stakes. For me, I do think Alice is dead, and we know that Sharon is dead. But are we sure that these two are dead? And they may just show up because, Rio is getting the bodies.
Yeah, like I said, I think that's the only mystery that I care about at this point. I just want to know where she is and why they did a flashback episode where it seemed like she just wasn't there at all, which doesn't make sense of what we saw before. So, I don't know.
I get you. Well, with that, should we find somebody to raid?
Yeah, probably a good idea. And thank you, gentlemen, for waiting on me.
Hey, wouldn't be the same without you, sir.
Trying to connect a new router. So, it turns out my 10-year-old modem router combo is a bit outdated. Who would have guessed?
So is that new
I didn't
router
know
that-
technology aged.
That's crazy talk. Don't even say that.
I should do that with my stuff.
What's that, Dave?
I should probably update my stuff too, because I have a lot of problems over here.
Well, I ended up, I got this guy, and also, okay, so, before you all say anything, yes, I swear to God, I did used to do IT. I didn't say I was any good at it, okay?
Okay.
Oh,
He froze.
Thought that it was okay to have a modem router combo. I didn't know that, like, dorks who don't understand.
by the way, Doug,
Yeah.
perfect timing. You froze right in the middle of that speech.
Yeah.
You're like, I did IT.
am I-
I wouldn't say I was good at it. Then you're like,
My bad.
That's exactly what happened.
it was perfect timing. Trust me.
Am I back?
Yeah, you're back. You couldn't
Okay,
have planned
all
it
right.
any better. I was
Oh.
like, is that me? And then Dave was like, I think he's frozen. I'm like,
I got one of these guys. Because I figure, okay, well, I have this combo unit from Spectrum right now. I may as well just get a newer version of that. And I'm thinking, I don't want to have to have two devices that I've got, like, normally, if I was setting up like a larger network, yeah, I would get a modem and then I would get a router, maybe like a mesh system, something like that. But I figure for my home, I'm like, this will be fine. No big deal.
I think he just froze again.
I froze again?
Yeah.
You did.
Gosh.
It's gonna take a little bit to break that system in, I think.
Yeah, clearly. Okay, well, this is going to be fun.
Well, just so you know, TG is still online. Should we raid TG?
Ooh, yes.
If he's there, yes.
All right, we will do that. It is intended for mature audiences. For those of you watching us on Twitch, if you're not mature, wait, that means I can't watch. If you're not
Me
over
either.
18, I shouldn't watch it. For those of you on YouTube, rating is something we do on Twitch, where we send all of our viewers there to watch someone else, another streamer that we like, respect, all of those certain things. So you won't be able to come with us, unfortunately. But thank you for tuning in tonight. We will be back Monday night, not Sunday. We'll be watching the latest episode of The Penguin Sunday night. But we'll be back Monday to talk about that. If you're not watching The Penguin, do yourself a favor and watch it, because it is absolutely incredible. But if you are on YouTube and you made it through the whole thing and you haven't subscribed to us or liked the video or commented, please do. It really helps the channel out immensely, and it is zero cost to you. So, now if you want to subscribe to us on Twitch, it might cost you a couple dollars unless it's a Prime thing. But, don't feel you have to do it. Do it, please. I didn't just say that.
Although it will cost you your sanity.
Yes,
All
it
right.
will. Ding, ding, ding. But once again, we're out. We'll see y'all Monday night. Thanks as always for coming in. Peace out.
Hey, fellow nerds, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you want to see more of this stuff, make sure that you check out our Twitch stream. We try to do these live Sunday or Monday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Keep an eye on our social media to find out when you can join in live and chat with us during these live streams. Also, as usual, don't forget to check out our other social media. Add us at Twitter, comment down below, and we'll see you next time right here on Not Your Status Quo.